is CP169. This is a video or a notice that you might receive if the IRS is trying to tell you that they don't have a tax return that you told them that you filed. So sometimes you might get a notice. I think it's CP124 asking you to file a tax return that they don't have in their file. So if you tell the IRS, hey, I actually did file this tax return, then you might see this tax notice. So we'll walk through the notice. We'll talk about where you can get more information, and we'll talk about what you can do to rectify this situation. But first, I want to lead you through a couple of things at the very top of the notice. So in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the notice number. That's CP169, the tax period. In this case, it's the tax period ending December 31st, 2006. The notice date. That's usually pretty important because any action items are tied to the notice date. So, sometimes you might see, please do this within 30 days. Please take this action within 60 days of the notice date. This is the date that they're talking about. Taxpayer ID number, which would probably be your social security number, or for a business owner, it's an employer ID number, and then a contact phone number. So some of this stuff is redacted. I'm going over what you should expect to see in the redacted fields. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the letterhead address. That redacted part is simply the city where the IRS office is located. This one is the taxpayer name and address. So, for example, this is it appears to be a gift tax return. So this would be probably for an individual, my guess. You should double check the name and address to make sure it's correct, especially if you've recently relocated. So if you've recently relocated, there are 3 ways that you can update the IRS records. One, by filing your next tax return. If you file a tax return with your new address, the IRS automatically updates your tax record. 2, you can call the IRS, sit on hold for what seems to be forever, and then eventually get a hold of someone that can manually update your address. Or you can file the change of address form. So for individuals, that would be IRS Form 8822. For business owners, that would be IRS Form 8822-B. And we'll put links in the show notes to both of those resources we've created on both of those forms. So let's take a closer look at this notice. So we don't have information about blank tax returns. So in this case, 2005, IRS Form 709, that's the gift tax return. So here on the left-hand side, it kind of summarizes the current situation. Several months ago, you told us you filed your 2005 Form 709. Unfortunately, our records show that we didn't receive it. Please refile by February 12th, 2009. Well, that doesn't make sense because the notice actually is dated March 2nd, 2009. So you're already 3 weeks behind the curve on that. Realistically, what you should do is if you have a copy of the tax return that you filed, just sign your copy and send it to the IRS by whatever the date is prescribed or as soon as possible. If you don't have a copy of your tax return, then you're going to need to complete a new tax return and send it by the date prescribed. So when you send your tax return, you'll need to make sure that any schedules, supporting documentation, any additional information that would normally accompany your tax return, you should include that. If you owe money, you should probably either make the payment through the IRS website, or you can attach a check or money order to that. So contact information, if you want to update your contact information, basically it directs you to the IRS website or the 800 number. So this really isn't the best way to update your contact information, even though it says contact information on that. So under the if we don't hear from you, the IRS is kind of saying in this case you have a credit. So in order to receive the money that's outstanding based on that credit, you need to post your tax return. So if your tax return isn't postmarked within 3 years of the due date, then you'll lose any refund that you may be entitled to. And this goes back to the rules on amended tax returns. Generally, the IRS allows you to amend a tax return up to 3 years after the original due date, including any extensions. So if you don't do that and you don't have, then you won't be able to access that credit. The only way that you can access a credit is if you actually post the tax return that credit is associated to. So the obvious question would be, how does the IRS know I have a tax credit if they don't have my tax return? Well, the IRS usually has some information that's reported to them. So for Form 1040 filers, you're reporting information based on information returns such as W-2s, 1099 forms, so on and so forth. So the IRS does have some information. What they don't have is the personal information that you add to your tax return, such as whether or not you're going to itemize deductions on Schedule A or take the standard deduction. That doesn't appear anywhere on any informational return. And the IRS only knows about that when you actually post your tax return. So in most situations, there are cases where your tax return will contain information that the IRS doesn't have access to, which is why the IRS requires taxpayers to file a tax return if they're entitled to a tax refund. So on the second page of this notice, there's just some additional information for access to IRS resources. You can go to the IRS website. What I'm particularly interested in is this link right here. So we're going to click here just to see if there's any new info. So basically it's recapturing the same thing that you said before. Can't find the return, please file a copy of it or re-sign a copy. If not, then you'll need to file that copy. The IRS may consider your return to be a delinquent return. So if you owe money, they're going to start collection actions. So collection enforcement, securing the return, things of that nature. So this looks like it's geared towards Form 990T filers, but realistically, the notice that we saw was for Form 709, which is a gift tax return. So I think you would see this across a variety of different types of returns. So don't be surprised if your tax return or your CP169 notice doesn't look exactly like this one. So I think we've covered everything we need to about CP169. We'll put links in the show notes to resources we've created about this notice. So the forms and the schedules mentioned here in this video. So if you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, if you have any questions or comments, or if you have a topic for an upcoming video, please post them in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.